After that last video about the nervous system, you may feel a little overwhelmed. You may be thinking, how in the world am I going to change my nervous system states? If you're saying, Candace, that all of this is automatic, or a lot of it is automatic, or some of it is automatic, how am I supposed to do anything to help myself in this regard? Doesn't that make me helpless? No, it does not. First of all, you have resources, remember? And so I'm going to teach you a whole lot of resources that will affect the state of your nervous system. But I also want you to know that your brain is the master control of your nervous system. So the nervous system is the master control of all the other systems in the body, but your brain is like the master control panel for your nervous system. What science has proven recently is that your brain can change. It's a term called neuroplasticity. Not only can your brain change, but you have some power over that. And I want to, in this video, talk a little bit about that, because that's another foundational concept when it comes to resourcing your body. The brain's ability to change and form new neural pathways. Now I want to show you this little picture here of a brain. This is your brain. Probably doesn't look anything like it, maybe a little bit, but this will help us simplify a concept that is a little bit complicated and scientific. Your brain is creating pathways all the time. Neurons that fire together, wire together. They create these pathways. So it's kind of like connect the dots. If you ever did connect the dots when you were growing up, you would go from like 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and in the end it would form a picture. Your brain does the same thing. It connects the dots and it forms these pathways. The more times you travel that pathway, the more times you go over the same information, or you embed the same beliefs, or the more you practice, the deeper that pathway gets. The less you practice, the less you think of those things, the less you believe those things, the weaker the pathway gets. It's kind of the idea of weakening the negative pathways and strengthening the positive pathways. We want to create pathways in our brain that are going to be healthy and that are going to contribute to our lives. We don't want these things that are going to constantly be throwing us into fight or flight or shutdown. So we do have some agency over this, right? We have some ability to change this, and it just takes some work and some practice. Let's just take the example from the last video where I was talking about getting in a car accident and then coming up on that same intersection where you had that car accident and your nervous system automatically reacting and trying to tell you that there's danger because it thinks that you're going to repeat that experience. So in order to be intentional and resource yourself, you would maybe use gratitude. I'm so thankful that that car accident didn't turn out worse than it was. This is different. This is a different time. We are safe. We are okay. And so you kind of resource your system with that gratitude. Maybe you, at that intersection, you find something that's beautiful and you use the resource of beauty and you focus in on that and you see that beauty and you're just like, this is not the same. It's not going to turn out the same as it did before. Now, let me just give you a picture of, think about if you went and visited a jungle. In a jungle, you know, you'd have all kinds of vines and down trees and plants and just all kinds of things in front of you. So to make a pathway, at first you're really going to have to, you know, you're going to have to carve that out. You're probably going to have some pretty hefty tools to start carving that pathway out. And then people that come behind you and travel that pathway, the more people walk on it, the more they trample it down, the deeper it's going to get. And the well-worn path is going to appear, right? And so it's the same way in our brains. We want to create these pathways by revisiting material over and over and over And at first that's difficult, right? Because you're going through a jungle, you're creating a brand new pathway. Your brain is going to be like, this is so uncomfortable, or this is so silly, or this is not going to work. All the things that could be in your way, the vines, the jungle, you're going to have to cut through that to begin the pathway. But after you practice these things, you're going to see these hard pathways become weaker and these better pathways become stronger. The ones that you choose, the ones that didn't just happen in your life. The resources in themselves are an intentional way of creating these pathways. The more good pathways we create in our brain, the better we will feel, the better we will act, the better we will react. Transforms our lives and our lifestyle. Okay, this last the last thing on the screen, this is neuroplasticity in a nutshell. This is actually pulled off of a website that talks about recovering from strokes. So even if you have had a stroke, which is one of the worst things that can happen to your brain, there is an ability for your brain to recover. This is a foundational process of how resourcing will work. 20 minutes of brain stimulation, or we'll just say for this course, 20 minutes of a certain resource is going to wake up the neurons and activate a brain pathway. The repetition, walking through that pathway over and over and over, repeating it, is going to create and strengthen these pathways. So then here it talks about speech, occupational, and physical therapy exercises. But in our case, we're talking about these resources that I have in this course. This is a good baseline. So these resources I'm finding, if you use them or practice them for 20 minutes a day, you will see a difference. Like, you will start to see that pathway created. Because it's a scientific fact that neurons that fire together wire together. So going back to this picture of those neurons firing together, just by watching this video and learning these concepts, learning about your nervous system, learning about neuroplasticity, you're causing neurons in your brain to start to wire together and fire together. We're going to take that a step further in the next video, so I will see you there.